like to get started. So, welcome to the Botline Bling panel. We're going to be talking about chatbots and all sorts of fun stuff today. First, we're going to actually go through our panelist introductions, followed by talking about the actual resurgence of conversational bots and kind of what brought that to be.
Can you just speak to the mic closer?
Yeah, sorry. All right. After that, we'll talk about the user experience of conversational bots, and then discuss how to actually transform, what kind of goes into transforming a traditional web experience into a bot experience. Then we're going to go into our Home Advisor bot demo that we built as kind of just a proof of concept. And finally, we'll dive into some Q&A so you guys can ask all those burning questions. So, without further ado, Elizabeth?
I probably can't talk that loud, so I'll just my name is Elizabeth Cadkin, and I work at Home Advisor. I'm Director of Product there, and I lead our mobile initiatives for consumers, as well as our smart home initiatives.
Hi everyone, I'm Keith Brisson. Hi everyone. I am Keith Brisson. I'm founder and CEO of AI. We are a platform that enables developers and companies to build conversational applications. So these include simple bots over Facebook Messenger, SMS, within mobile or web apps, and they can go all the way up to more sophisticated back and forth conversations. So we offer developer tools in a platform that enables you to build and deploy and run these applications quickly and easily.
Hey everyone, Paul. I'm the head of product at Anna. Anna is a virtual travel agency that helps you plan, manage, and book all of your travel. We actually have a new app that we're releasing this fall. So tonight will be actually the world premiere of that, so you guys can see a quick video on that. So,
And I will be the mediator for this evening. My name is Levi Fuller. I am a technology consultant at Credera. We are a management, technology, and UX consulting firm based out of Dallas, and we have an office here in Denver. We build enterprise, web, and mobile applications, and work with all sorts of different types of technology to help our customers out. So, let's dive in. So why bots and why now? How many of you guys have kind of noticed the resurgence of bots lately? You guys heard about all the news? There's a lot of it now, right? So you can see there's a lot of the top companies, Microsoft, Facebook, Viv, if you guys have seen that, especially like the bot users, are actually investing heavily into conversational bots. But why? Why are they doing that? Well, because apps are fundamentally not the right model. When you think of an app, it's kind of a means to an end. It's kind of clunky, you have to download an app, and you're trying to figure out what you really want to do. Right? And in reality, it's really, you just want to either accomplish a task or get information. You don't necessarily want to fiddle around with downloading an app, navigating through it, and figuring out what you want to do. You just want to be able to say it and get it done. So what can enable that? What has changed to make this a possibility now in 2016 as opposed to 10 years ago? Well, evolutions in cloud computing have enabled us to actually be able to go and host all of our bots over in the cloud to make them accessible from tons of different platforms. So that is point number one. Second, major strides over in natural language processing have enabled computers and devices to easily interpret human input language and enabled us to be able to speak to our devices just as you would a normal human being, and they'll be able to figure out, what your intents are and what you want to accomplish. So, Keith, my first question is going to be for you. Could you tell us a bit more about init.ai and then why you guys have chosen to really invest heavily in the bot industry and create a bot platform?
Sure. Hi. So, as I mentioned in the intro, we are a platform that enables other companies to create these apps. But we didn't start that way. AI came out of difficulties and challenges that we faced when building a conversational app ourselves. We started in the personal finance space. And we saw a complicated problem with complex data and complex issues, and sought ways to enhance the user experience. And what we realized was that building visual UI for complicated information isn't necessarily the right approach when there are alternatives. We spent a lot of time thinking about what our end users were actually trying to do. And what we realized was that they were trying to either tell the system to do something or to answer a question. And it lent itself really well to natural language. To telling the computer, I want you to transfer this money. I want you to take this action. Or asking a question like, how much did I spend on coffee last month? And what we faced were substantial challenges on the software engineering side. And we tried using existing natural language processing tools, found them lacking. We tried managing these conversation flows and had difficulty on every turn. So we looked at the engineering work required to start to solve that, and then realized other companies need this as well. So we created a NitAI. NitAI is a platform that packages all of the things that you need to create a conversational app together. And we do that because we think that that will yield the best end user experience and the best experience for developers. So we integrate the connections, the tools to train conversations to teach it how your users are going to talk, and then the tools to improve the conversational app over time as well as run it. And as for why now, I think Levi touched on some very good points. When I think about it, I think of three main reasons why conversational apps and bots are becoming more and more popular now. Number one is app fatigue. So, as Levi mentioned, apps are not always the best medium for serving your end users. When you want to deliver a service to the users, you're not delivering an app. You're delivering a solution, and you need to figure out what channel to deliver that through. And in many cases, conversation is a better choice than apps. Users aren't downloading apps today. The median number of apps that the consumer downloads is 0. So think about the last time you downloaded an app on your phone, and then also remember the fact that you are in technology. Most people don't download apps, they use the few that they have on their phone already. But what they do spend their time doing is messaging. Messaging is far and away the number one activity on mobile devices, and that is they spend more time in messaging apps than in social networking. So companies are trying to figure out how to reach their end users within the experience they're already in, and that means reaching them within messaging apps. Messaging apps are growing very rapidly as well. Over half the world uses messaging apps today, and 1.1 billion users are expected to start using messaging apps by 2018. So number one, apps are going. Number two, the technology is advancing. Natural language processing and machine learning is becoming better and better all the time. It's not all the way there yet. So you can't have a conversation with a computer that is indistinguishable from a human. And we don't really recommend that companies try to do that. You should be trying to solve your end user problems, not trying to mimic the user. But all the companies getting into the space, including us, realize that the technology is advancing very rapidly. And machines are going to be able to take over these conversations more and more over time. So companies are eager to get in it early. And we're in that case as well. We're taking a different approach to a lot of the companies that are building these types of platforms, and then we're focused on back and forth conversations, not just analyzing single messages and trying to interpret the meaning of them. So it's technology that's advancing over time and will get better and better soon. The third thing is how we use technology is changing. If you realize, your relationship to technology, it has gone from something that's episodic, something you use intermittently, to something you do all the time, something that's moving into the background, and that requires an experience that's lower touch. So conversation, being able to ask simple questions intermittently, is something that enables that kind of intermittent use of technology that's less intrusive in your life. Those are the three reasons I identify for why. Does that make sense? Great.
All right, thank you, Keith. How many of you guys have used Cleverbot? It's been around for a long time. Just a few? All right, so I remember when I was a kid, you'd go on there and you'd play around, ask it some questions, just try and actually have a conversation with it. It was really cool, but it was nothing more than a novelty. It couldn't actually accomplish any tasks for you, it couldn't get any information for you, it was just for fun. Fast forward to now. Here's an example of Shop Spring. Anyone heard of Spring? You basically, you can go on there and you can browse items, and based on what your choices, it'll direct your conversation and find new items that are similar to the ones you already have. So these are the kind of experiences that they are evolving towards, right? So as far as the user experience, there's a few points that are very important in building a conversational bot. The first is going to be, you want a bot to do a few things, maybe 1, 2, possibly 3 things, and do them extremely well. You don't want to complicate it with, a series of very complicated things, Google Now, etc. And it makes it very difficult to figure out what the user wants to do when you add too much to it. The second point is totally spaced on the second part, but you definitely want to make the experience as light as possible. You want to provide contextual information back to the user based on what their queries are, to make sure that they know that your bot is understanding what they want it to do. So, for example, in our bot that we're actually going to be showing you, when a person says, hey, we want to mow your lawn, we let them know, hey, here are some people that can mow your lawn. We let them know that we have heard their request, and we let them know the type of people that we're going to respond to. So, without further ado, Paul, could you please tell us about a little bit about Anna, and then what actually drove the need to create a different experience for a travel concierge?
So is anyone already familiar with Anna? Maybe you're using it. Is anyone using the book Travel? All right. So Anna is, we do have an app, but the app only does one thing, which is you can chat with it. So it's a chat-based mobile application, and you're chatting with a real human the entire time. So we did it on the bot. We built a chat platform, and we have a team of agents you're chatting with on the back end. We did build a lot of technology to parse out relevant information such as dates, times, locations, travel preferences and profile, and your past travel history and all that stuff to make the agent's job really easier. We have about 3,000 members, and one agent can handle about 500 members at the same time. So we built a lot, because right now you said you can go to LA next weekend, and we already know if you fly United, if you like window seats, if you'll probably need a hotel because it's a business trip, you frequently fly with this coworker, etc. So the itinerary is basically filled out, and the agent just needs to say, yep, and just probably verify flights and back over these card views. So I'll show you a quick view of, should we just click on it? Okay, cool. Oh, I think it was already open, right? So here's what we do right now. Sorry about that. Chat with it, sit back with these card views, and you're ready. You want to book it. Takes a few seconds. like, great, look, you're chatting with me right now. And you know, you're ready to book your hotel, you're all set. You can review the options of that. So essentially we send over these card views, and you tap it and book it like an Uber. You're chatting with real people the whole time, and here's your conversation. We'll send you over your boarding pass, and we'll basically do anything travel related for you. So whether it's flights, hotels, restaurants, Airbnbs, and we chose a chat platform because, as you said, that apps are kind of going away. But even my 80-year-old grandmother likes to chat on Pana because even she can use a chat platform. It's just simple as sending a text message to your friends. We found it super simple. But one of the things we have realized too is that we wanted to, while chat isn't necessary for everyone, it's $20 a month. There's a group of individuals who travel infrequently that we wanted to be able to support. So we're actually building a free version of Pana that will pull together all of your itinerary. It'll let you view it all together, so it'll parse your emails, you can forward your confirmations to it, and we built a bot to proactively look over your itinerary, look over your shoulder, and proactively recommend recommendations for you, whether that's sending you a flight alert because your gate has changed, or your favorite coffee shops nearby, or you book this flight and we see an itinerary with a flight without a hotel. So here is I can go right here. Okay. Here we go. Okay, full screen. There we go. Okay. Can you?
I don't know where the screen is on that position.
There you go. So you can book any travel you want on any platform. And this platform, it happens to be canoe.com. Kayak. And then Crosby's a little bot that's looking over your shoulders. If you can set your itinerary or your inner circle, so you can say like who receives your flight alert, so it'll automatically like text your wife when you land. And it's basically looking over your itinerary for you. No way on the plastic people dancing. Because why not? So that's our bot we've built, and essentially looks over your itinerary. And we're hoping that this is a new platform where someone who only travels infrequently doesn't want to necessarily have a messaging platform. Can use this for free, and then if you want, you can actually upgrade to our premium service, which is our current service now, which is our chat platform. So all the details aren't necessarily worked out, but this will be launching here in the next month or so.
All right. Cool. Thank you, Paul. All right. So, next we're actually going to be talking about what an actual traditional web experience might look like being transitioned over to a conversational bot. So I'm sure you've all been in the situation where when you want to accomplish some task, you have to go and fill out this endless task of endless number of forms and fields, and it's very explicit, needs to be here. When in reality, you could probably just be able to get all this information laid out with one or two simple sentences. So let's take a look at what that might look like. You can see over in here, rather than having to go and put in all of your person's information and iterate through these 4 different steps, you just say, I need a haircut on Saturday, and it can say, all right, so here are the times that we have available. You select a time, and right from there, you're able to book an appointment. If it needs other information, it'll be able to figure that out, what information it needs, and guide you along the process depending on what it needs. So, yes, Elizabeth, I would like you to come up and tell us a little bit about Home Advisor, what you guys do, and then some of the opportunities that you guys saw transitioning from a traditional web experience to a conversational bot.
Okay, so Home Advisor, who here is familiar with Home Advisor? Let's go. So Home Advisor is America's largest marketplace for finding home services. And in the last year, we've helped 12 million customers find service professionals. And the reason that we're able to help so many customers is because for 2 reasons. One, we have the largest network of pros. And so that's really important because you want to make sure that people you're bringing into your house are screened and approved. They are not criminals. That's always important. And so Home Advisor makes sure that these people aren't criminals, that they are high quality. So that's one reason. But the other reason why we are the largest and the best is because we have the best technology. So over the last couple of years, we've been focusing on building on-demand technology. And the reason we've done that is because the #1 customer pain point that some of the people in this room might have experienced, it's very hard to get in touch with contractors. So when you want to get something done for your home, you try and find a guy, he doesn't call you, you call him, he doesn't call you back, there's some phone tag going on. And we wanted to solve this problem because it's terrible. So what we've done is we've built 2 products that solve it. So Instant Booking is a product for all those people out there who don't want to talk on the phone, probably everyone in this room if I'm guessing correctly. What you do is you select your service professional, we then provide access to their calendar, and then you can book an appointment. We also have a technology called Instant Connect, and by the way, Levi's going to demonstrate how Instant Booking can be put into a bot here in a moment. We also have a product called Instant Connect, and Instant Connect is for people who have an emergency need. You want to talk to someone right now who is available, and so we'll get someone on the phone, they'll call you right away. So what I tell you about these 2 products is what they've done for us as they have allowed us to provide frictionless access to home services on any device, any platform. It doesn't matter where it is. So maybe it's your Alexa skill, maybe it's a third-party home automation hub, it's your smartwatch, it doesn't matter where it is. We don't need you to be using a website or an application to find a pro anymore. And so this is really important to us because we think that we're moving into a future where, and all these guys mentioned it, apps are dying, but not only do we think apps are dying, we also don't think that the customer instinct will be to go to a messaging app or go to a website in order to use a service like ours. We think what people are going to want to do is start to have intelligent conversations with the smart devices in their home. So imagine there's a smart refrigerator in your house, it breaks down, it says, hey, I'm broken, and you go, okay, cool, have someone come fix it for us, or come fix it for me. How about you have someone come over at 3 p.m.? So that's what we think the future of home services is. And so when we think about a conversational bot, we're thinking about it more, not so much in the terms of how can we message back and forth with customers, we're thinking about it as how can we start to power the fabric of your smart home using these conversational experiences. So that's really where we're focusing our time and energy, and that's pretty aggressive. There aren't currently talking refrigerators, so we're working on that. But once we get there, our goal is to power those experiences. Now, in the near term, as you guys can probably imagine, Home Advisor's target demo is an older audience. They own homes, they have expendable income to improve those homes. So they are using websites and they are using apps. They are not going to use chatbots. My mom is in the audience right now, and she has said, what are you guys talking about today? And I said, chatbots. And she said, El Chapo? And so I was like, no, a chatbot. She's embarrassed back there. But So anyways, we're not trying to get my mom to use a chatbot. That's just not going to happen. But there are young people moving into home ownership, and we want to start to be able to engage with them the way that they're comfortable engaging. So for us, it's also an opportunity, besides figuring out how we can start to power these smart home devices, it's also an opportunity to reach out to a younger audience.
All right. Cue the demo. So before we actually jump into it, I kind of want to give you a brief overview of how everything's structured. So through the init.ai platform, that actually provides us with most of the stuff that we need to build a chatbot. On top of that, all we needed to do was set up our integration through smooch.io, which allows us to connect our chatbot to any other type of messaging platform. This could be Facebook Messenger, or Kik, or Slack, or anything else that you guys decide that you want to connect it to, including SMS, text. And then from smooch.io, that's going to route it to the appropriate client. In our case, we're going to be using Facebook Messenger. So I want to route the messages in between our init.ai platform and the client. So let's take a look at how we actually built this. So init.ai is going to provide us with an interface for us to teach our bot, quite simply. You actually just go in and you're going to type in these conversations. So you can see the first one, somebody says, send me someone to mow my lawn tomorrow. And you can see those highlighted words are the different types of entities that it has discerned from this statement. And then below that it says, hey, this person is trying to request a service. You can think of that as kind of their intent. So over on the right, this is supposed to be technical, so we'll get into it a little bit. You can see that we collect the service. We go and get the target, we get the action, and then we try and figure out the professional type based on having that information. And then, if it's available, we'll get the desired time as well. And then we go and say, all right, is this condition satisfied? You can see that over at the top. So if we already know what professional type they're requesting, then we'll say, all right, fantastic, then go on to the next step. We don't need to be in here anymore. If not, it'll go and prompt them and say, hey, what service are you guys looking for? Next, since we have the professional type, we'll jump down into the next one. And we'll say, okay, we're going to find top-rated lawn care specialists that can mow your lawn tomorrow. Actually, over in here, we can actually see that confirmed service working. So we just go and get all that information that they had already sent to us, and then we say, all right, show this confirmed service dialog, which is just another conversation that we typed in, and we have selected all of these entities, and it knows where to put them based on what the person has already stated they want as part of their message. So here's a little screenshot from it, but let's actually jump into it. Yeah. I'm just cleaning it for you guys. Yeah. So here's our little Facebook Messenger bot. We can say hi. And it'll figure out that that's a greeting. So this person's probably trying to figure out what they can actually do. So it says, hey, this is our home advisor bot. What do you want to do? You can try things like get me an electrician for Tuesday or repair my sprinklers tomorrow. Let's try and doing I need So you can see from here, it's probably going to interpret heater as the target. It's going to interpret next Thursday at the time. So usually, we would actually, if we didn't have the time, it would have jumped into that. But in this particular circumstance, it already knows, so let's just get your address. Where do you need this service? And you can see the response is, we'll find HVAC specialist. So you know that it interpreted your request correctly. So let's go and say, all right, I'm at Colorado. It's our office. So we'll just have it. Heater's broken there. All right. So then it automatically go and just FYI, this is all unlocked data. This is not connected up to Home Advisor. We're just basically sending it in as we go. So we have a couple of these choices, all right? Let's say we want to go with the first choice because it is the first choice. Click on that one. You can also go and view the information on that specific person and it'll pull it up. If you want more info on that specific professional. Great, we got first choice. Here's all the information. Cool, that guy looks great. So now that we have selected it, it says your appointment has been scheduled with First Choice Heating today at 10 a.m. That is incorrect, but don't worry about that. You didn't see anything. Say we wanted to do another request. We'll just say we want something else. All right. Yeah, let's actually try and get a roofer. All right. So you can see that they interpreted our response and they give you a contextual answer saying, all right, this guy wants some roofers and they want them tomorrow. So then we would put in our address again. Usually you wouldn't re-prompt, but we decided to reset it just to give you the full experience. Do that, it'll interpret our zip code. Great, got the zip code. Here's the roofers that are available tomorrow. Which one do we want to do? We'll go ahead and get these Caliber restoration guys. At 9 a.m. Cool. It's been scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m. Fantastic. So there's just kind of a little thing. You can go for plumbers, you can go roofers, HVAC specialists, lawn care specialists. There's about 6 different types. But yeah, just a little look at what could be. All right. So thank you all. First, we'd like to do, I guess we can do announcements first. That probably makes more sense. You want to do that?
I just wanted to say that Home Advisor's hiring. We always are hiring, but we're hiring iOS developers, Android, people with JavaScript and Java background, DevOps and QA. If you know anyone, or you are that person, it's a great place to work. I've been there 7.5 years, and it is one of the greatest places, I think, that anyone can work. And I think once you get there, you find out. And we currently located in Golden, but we're building a brand new office just down the street. So in about a year, that'll be done, and it's going to be pretty sweet.
Anyone else want to say anything?
If you'd like to create a conversational app, talk to me. We're still private right now, but if you're willing to provide feedback and work closely with us, we'd like to talk to you.
It's definitely, I played around with the Microsoft Bot framework as well as the Init.ai platform, and it is really cool. Like once you actually figure it out and understand how everything comes together, it was super simple. So, yep.
Is any of this open source where we can integrate with some of our own chat features, or is it only like paid services through you?
So you can integrate with your existing APIs or external services. So like this is using Google Maps to geocode, I think.
Yep.
So you can integrate to other platforms.
Do you guys have open APIs that we can access?
So we handle the NLP on our side. You'll be able to host it on your own system soon. So if you want to handle the logic on your side, that's something you can do. Did that answer your question?
I think so. Good enough.
Yep.
I have 2 questions. First of all, what's like the best or most complex chatbot out there?
The best or most complex? It's a tough one. So I think Spring was actually really cool. I was actually playing around with that one today. You can look for Shop Spring in Facebook Messenger. And the cool thing about it is, as you kind of say, hey, I would need, I want to look at, men's t-shirts or men's shoes, it'll actually kind of guide you through that process. So it'll show you 3 shoes that are pretty different, and then based on the kind of style, you get to pick which one you like. Say, I want to see more like this, or I want to buy this shoe, and it'll kind of guide you through a different path, where shoes that are really similar. So it's kind of analyzing similar shoes for you to be able to easily figure out which one. So I thought that's probably the best experience that I've had on the chatbot so far. But keep in mind, it's very young.
Well, there's a new one coming. You guys probably also have the iOS 10 demo when they launched, what, like 2 months ago now? So they're betting really hard on Siri and having that. So you can like hail an app automatically with Uber. There's 7 main things you can do. I won't remember them all, but they're betting really hard on Siri integration, basically just talking to your phone. If Apple's betting really hard on Siri and having chat integration with Siri apps stuff like that, I can imagine there's something to do that.
Well, so I actually have a lot of thoughts on Siri. Siri is not a bot in this kind of sense, and it's not going to be something that you can build anything you want on. So Apple has released it in 7 different domains, as we said, but they're ones that are relatively restrictive, and you're not going to be able to add your own ways of talking about things. So, like you can add new travel services, but it's only within the context of how you can ask questions to Siri. And they're focusing on bringing you into more of a traditional kind of UI context after that point, rather than back and forth conversation. As Levi said, these are still really young, and the space is evolving very, very quickly. And a lot of the bots that came out on day 1 of like the Messenger platform release were not very good. And there are companies releasing things that have relatively poor user experience because they want to get the experience. They want to learn how to make them good, and they're getting better every day. Where you see good bots is good bots that provide utility. Bots that are actually done better in a messaging context, in a conversation context, that's where you get good user experience. So like Home Advisor, I think, makes a lot of sense in this because you have a very specific need and you can get it done quickly. It's that kind of, when you have that kind of advantage, a bot can be a very, very good experience, but they're changing very, very quickly, and what is the best today is going to be different in a month. Different in 2 months.
So if you're developing, say at Home Advisor, you're developing the web app with the form-based approach, and you're now developing a chatbot. What's the relative, or actually let me say, you're developing your mobile app with a kind of form-based approach and a chatbot app for mobile. What's the relative effort of one versus the other, I guess? Is chatbot easier to deploy and implement, or is it actually more complicated and more time consuming?
So I'm probably the best to answer that. It depends what level of sophistication you're going for. So for a simple workflow, the chat app is probably simpler in terms of getting the user from 0 to getting the task complete. And again, these aren't trying to simulate end user. Like, it's not trying to simulate a human, right? It's trying to enable them to accomplish a specific goal. Mobile apps are very expensive to develop and very time consuming to develop. Mobile websites are much simpler. So like this demo, I don't know how long you guys spent on it, but it was a matter of days, not a matter of weeks or months. And it's something that can be hooked up to, it's still early, but hooked up to a real API and actually useful pretty quickly. But again, it depends on the complexity. If you get into a complex domain, it's much more time consuming. But still,
is it much more time consuming than the same complex domain on an app platform? That's really, I'm just trying to get the relative sense of it.
Yeah, I would say that the interface portions, it's going to start out simpler. Whatever your app is actually doing for the end user is going to be
The same.
the same.
That's why I say the Home Advisor case is the perfect one because you've already done it, forms-based. And how would that compare to having the same back end with a front end that's really chatbot related?
So I'll say this, we target getting developers up and running in under an hour for something they can chat back and forth with and start monitoring. So depending on the use case, it's something that you can get up and running and usable very, very quickly. More complicated use cases are longer.
I think the challenge, I mean, obviously developing it is, there's pros and cons and we can make up time in different places, but I think figuring out what your use cases are could be where you spend the most of your time because yes, this was probably fairly easy to do because HomeAdvisor spent 2 years figuring out how to provide on-demand service. So that use case is perfect for it, but it also took 2 years to figure out how to nail that. And the other thing you want to think about, and I think this is what Paul's focused on a lot, is what's our operational support, because you're not going to be able to do it with just technology. We don't do what we do with just technology. We have 500 people on our operations center, and every single one of those people is helping make these on-demand connections work. And so I'm sure you guys have a lot of, you have a lot of people working on it as well. So I think there's all these different things you need to think about. And when you start to go into an uncontrolled environment, like a chatbot where someone can say whatever they want, that's when it really starts to make sense where you need to think about, okay, technology can only get us this far. What human is going to come in and help make this a better experience, and then you can learn from it. So I almost think, thinking about all the unhappy paths and all that, that's where you need to start really invest a lot of time.
And I think purely from a development experience, actually building the chatbot app is not the most time-consuming portion. You're going to be spending the majority of the time doing what HomeAdvisor has already done, which is building up that back-end infrastructure to be able to access that instant booking and get their times and what times they're available. And this is just a way for you to say, all right, let's just pull that information in, just another interface. So as far as the UI specifically, it wouldn't take nearly as long on a chatbot because you don't need to worry about all the design stuff. Everything's kind of fleshed out for you when you use this platform.
So there's a couple of applications that are texting based, not necessarily just text messaging or messaging based. So I'm curious, one, does Knit AI do that? Two, what's the advantage of building a web application or a web-based chatbot versus something that just uses texting as an interface?
Texting as in a mobile app with a
As in, like, I'm literally texting a number that goes
so
back and forth.
SMS?
Yeah.
So SMS has been popular historically, but it's being displaced by messaging apps that support things like these graphics. SMS is still a good place to launch some kind of services, but you're much more limited in what you can do. And even messaging apps are limited. So like a case like travel, if location is important, you can't always get real-time location in a messaging platform, and you might need to embed a conversation in a mobile app like Hannah did. So each channel has their own pros and cons. SMS as a way of delivering these still exists, and we support these over SMS too. This app would work if you hooked up to a phone number right now. It would take about 2 minutes, but there are pros and cons, and you have to go to where your users are. So like some platforms are better than others for certain demographics. Like Kik is a popular messaging channel amongst very young people. Facebook Messenger is very popular in the United States. Then you have ones like WeChat that are really only popular in China, but they're immensely popular there. So each one has its pros and cons.
With SMS, it's highly regulated, and it's just like email. So you have to get very explicit opt-ins to SMS someone if you're doing anything that's marketing related. It has to really be transactional, and so that's tough because you don't want to have to like go through that rigmarole to like get someone going. Where if someone downloads an app or is engaging on a website, it's just they're opting in by the nature.
Yeah, so actually to that point, we've had a lot of conversations between the companies that handle the interface technology with the phone providers. Phone providers will throttle you if you send too many messages over a text number. You can get around that with things like short codes or even 800 numbers have higher capacity, but you do need that explicit opt-in. The current feeling is that a user contacting your service knowingly and reaching out to that is consent, but there's still some murkiness there.
I'm wondering if the results that are seen in the chatbot for an advisor, if they're monetized, if there's some kind of order or rate to that. And also, I'm just wondering if chatbots are also for contractors too, or is that more for consumers?
So for consumers, I'll start with the second part. For consumers, we're thinking about them as a way to get them connected with pros. So the example you saw is a good example. For contractors, the opportunity is in the customer support side of things. So we, like I said, we have 128,000 paying members. Every single one of those guys is paying monthly and they're paying on a per lead basis. So they're highly engaged people, and because of that we have a very intense support system for them. So you can imagine what would be amazing for them is they'd be like, hey, this happens like 5,000 times a day. Hey, that was a very shitty lead you sent me. That person never called me back. They missed my appointment, and I'm not going to pay for it. That is a highly expensive process for our operations team to handle. So if you can automate that process, which a bot would be perfect for that, because we could say, okay, why was this a bad lead? The homeowner made up their phone number, it is dead, it's not a real phone number, whatever. That can be automated, and that can save us a lot of time and energy, and as the service professional can get a satisfying experience without a lot of energy. And they are very hard to get a hold of on the phone. Service professionals, they're working. They are the hardest working people. They're under a sink, they're on top of a roof, and so they're not answering phones, they're not picking it up. What they're doing is they are starting to get into texting and messaging more, although, albeit, they are delayed.
So right now on the existing panel platform, if you say I need a flight to LA, we'll send you over these card views, we'll send you over 3 cards. But we actually know you pretty well. We actually do a lot of onboarding with the user. We actually do a 15-minute welcome call with every single member to get to know them a little bit, because like best flight is like relative. Like best means like some people who are like, I only like to fly like, you know, between like 9 and 11 a.m. on United, but if United's not available, I want to fly Southwest, but only Southwest for business, otherwise it's the Frontier. So they have like the most complex requests and stuff like that. So with Crosby, you can't chat back with Crosby, which I didn't mention. It's literally just looking at your itinerary and proactively suggesting things. We won't know the user, so recommending the best hotel or coffee shop for them is going to be a challenge. So right now I'm thinking a lot about like how to onboard the user and get their preferences and profile, so that way I can actually recommend hotels that are relevant, that are like within, not only like within their personal preferences, but also their situational preferences. Like, yeah, normally maybe they spend $300 a night in hotels, but for this reason they need to be more budget conscious or something like that. So we're no great answers right now on that with the bots and stuff like that. So that's essentially why we made human powered first.
To answer the first part of your question, sorry, the way it works is our contractors are paying members, they pay per lead. So when a customer comes in, they tell us about our project, and then we identify the best pros to that project. If the customer, like in this situation, says, okay, I'd like to do 10 a.m. with this pro, that is when that pro's charging. In terms of like the order in which they're displayed, there is some logic behind that, but it's not that interesting.
I've seen a few uses of the bots where they actually, once you've started the connection, they'll like start talking to you without reaching out first. So I wonder, as like this technology gains traction and more businesses start using it, at what point does the channel become polluted or oversaturated? I'm thinking of like the postal service where I get ads in the mail every day, like emails, spam, along those lines.
So specifically for this use case, they're not going to know anything about you until you officially reach out to them, right? So depending on the type of platform that you are responding through, you won't know that that customer even exists until they first reach out. And specifically on Facebook, it's very easy to block a page from contacting you or something like that. If you want to talk about more of the specifics on that.
Yeah. So you're right, that's absolutely a concern. And in fact, some of the bots on Facebook Messenger right now, some of them are pretty spammy. So there are good bots and there are bad bots, just like there are good apps and there are bad apps. The messaging platforms are approaching that. So Facebook, on these types of conversations, you can opt in to you can opt into promotional messages versus just regular communication messages. But each platform is handling it differently. So like WeChat in China actually has two different types of accounts. They have accounts that are for distributing content periodically, like news apps, and those will push things to you. Other ones are service where you have to explicitly reach out to them. But you're right, it's absolutely a concern, and it's up to the developers and to the platforms to stay on top of that.
I was gonna say, we have like a laundry list of these like binaries on like users. So like one person we might reach out at 7 o'clock and say, hey, do you need like a restaurant recommendation for dinner? And one person might say, yeah, that's awesome, yeah, send it over. The other person might be like, why the hell are you bothering me? And everyone's different, and everyone thinks about it differently. And even the person who normally would say, yeah, it's great, maybe they're in a situation where they're just like, don't bother me right now. So we try to account for that, which isn't always easy, stuff like that. So we're taking into account not only your preferences, but also then the situational preferences as well too. Because pretty much context is everything we travel.
I just think when you think about that type of scenario, if you think of the big picture, if you get to a point where this is going to be spamming you, it's going to displace something else. So all the mail that you're getting is probably going to start to go away because now people are chatbot messaging you constantly. So I think in the larger picture, I think it'll take a while for that to happen, but maybe an organization like HomeAdvisor sends a lot of emails, and if anyone hears a customer, you will know that. Hopefully we can get to a place where we're not sending that many emails to the people who don't open the emails, but the people who use the chatbots are getting the messages back. In this particular use case, something that would be interesting and that we should do is after you have an appointment, follow up with that customer and say, hey, how did that appointment go? Was your pro on time? Was he late? Did he no-show? And that is actually really valuable for our customers because that's an opportunity when they say he didn't show up. It's an opportunity for us to intercept that negative experience, make it a positive one, and find somebody who can go out and help them. So I think you just want to make sure that you are always being helpful, and like Keith said, there's good experiences and bad ones.
Anything else? Going once? Going twice? All right, I think that is all. Thank you all.